I look forward to a productive and respectful discussion about how we can move forward together. We did discuss today that we have over 700 contractors stand by already to help us remedy the situation if we can find a resolution and move forward. If we can get the funds in place today and ABSS can sign a contract, we can start work as early as tonight.
Talk to all county commissioners, that's including me, and I think we're all of the same. We're here today primarily to gather information, see what the needs are, see how immediate those needs are, and how we can then fund them.
The Alamance Burlington School Board is ready to begin the mold remediation immediately, but the Alamance County Commissioners say, wait a minute, we need more information. We need to look at the funding sources before we do anything. Over $25 million. That's the amount that was spent to remediate mold in the Alamance Burlington School System. In this video, we have the joint session between the Alamance County Commissioners and the Alamance Burlington School Board, along with elected state officials. This is part one of the August 28th, 2023 joint meeting on how to resolve the mold issue.
ABSS has spent $1.2 million of our CAGR funding on HVAC repairs and mold remediation, both at Andrews and Newland elementary schools. Unfortunately, we now have three other schools, Bellevue Middle, Cummings High, and Williams High, that would need immediate attention. While testing is ongoing at district facilities or facilities across our district, concerns have been reported at others as well. I do take a minute to pause and thank our operations team, Mr. Holt, Dr. Butler. Their work has been tireless, and they have literally worked all weekend. So a special thank you to you and your team. Some of the storm for ABSS with recent construction, HVAC changes, fluctuations in weather, and even years of simply not being able to afford regular maintenance. The mold growth has accelerated.
Now, I want you to notice what she just said, and I know this is a big issue between the county commissioners and the school board. It seemed like she said that they didn't have enough money to actually do the things that were needed to make normal maintenance upgrades or improvements. So that's going to be an issue, and I think that's something you need to pay attention to as the friction between these two groups becomes clearer. You're going to see that's going to be a major issue, a source of funding. Have they been funded or have they not been funded? Let's continue.
To a point of being a disruption to serving our students. And I will take a moment of privilege just to pause. We did not sit on mold and wait until July or August to say we're going to tackle it. It came to our attention in late July, 1st of August, and we sent our team out to investigate the report that we had received from Andrews. We slowly began to unravel and uncover the magnitude of what we're now dealing with. So this was not orchestrated. This was not intentional. But this is something that we have now become aware of, and it's imperative that we address it.
Now, Sandy also saying that, this started out at Andrews, and it has progressively became a broader, in fact, a broader situation within the ABSS system. And that's what she's saying. They've known about it incrementally, so to speak, and they're going to actually be discussing just how broad it actually is. But listen to what one of the county commissioners says, John Paisley, as soon as he gets an opportunity to speak as well.
Swiftly and clinically. So that's what brings us here today. As part of the strategic plan, a top priority for ABSS is providing a safe and healthy learning environment for students and staff. That is why we're here today with a tremendous sense of urgency to get the students back in the classrooms. And I truly believe that is the primary goal. And I am confident that we all share that goal here today. There's been a lot of discussion about how we got here. Yes, we have spent millions on construction upgrades and HVAC repairs. And yes, we did at one time turn the air off in the evenings and weekends, which is not what we're doing now. And yes, we have struggled to maintain our buildings over the years with staff shortages, lack of funding, and even COVID-related mandates.
Okay, now there's another reference to a lack of funding. or something, some issue of not having enough money to meet the school's needs. And so as you listen to both sides present their positions, listen to see if that's true. It very well may be true. It may not be true. We'll need to listen and let's see exactly what takes place.
Well, it's a race against the clock, but I'm confident that through open dialogue and by looking forward, we can find solutions to the issues at hand. We cannot go forward if we continue to look in the rearview mirror. There's a big windshield in front of us, and this is an opportunity for us to do the right thing. Our teachers, our staff, our students, our families, and our communities are expecting us to do that today. I look forward to a productive and respectful discussion about how we can move forward together. We did define today that we have over 700 contractors stand by and ready to help us remedy the situation if we can find a resolution and move forward. If we can get the funds in place today and ABSS can sign a contract, we can start work as early as tonight.
Okay, so they have the contractors on standby. If the funding is given at this meeting, she's saying that the cleanup can begin as early as the night of the 28th of August of 2023. But that's going to be the point of contention.
This will get our students back in the classroom as quickly as possible. And hopefully, fingers crossed, will likely eliminate a virtual learning scenario. So today, we're laser focused on 4 specific objectives. 1, what is the situation? 2, what is the solution? 3, how do we pay for it? And 4, when do our kids get to start the school year? So, to Dr. Butler to help us define objective number 1.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Before we do that, let me clarify one thing. We county commissioners are dedicated to ABSS and our students. Up until, we got more information from the school system today, but we really don't know what the maps are. That has not been given to us as county commissioners prior to this meeting. So it's unlikely that we county commissioners will be able to dedicate monies at all today, because we'll have to go back, see what the resources are. Once we have determined what the needs are, we want to be very proactive, but we must have information in order to act upon.
Okay, so there, notice before that, Sandy had some good points. She said, what is the situation? What is the solution? How are you going to pay for it? And fourthly, not only how are you going to pay for it, but when are the kids going to be back in school? So she's laid that out there, and she said that, if you get the funding, they could be cleaning up the schools tonight. But John then comes in and says that, hey, we need more information. We got to know what the monies are. We got to know what the money amounts are. We just can't throw money at this. We've got to have more information, and that's going to be, it looks like, the argument that they're starting right here, or not argument, but the foundation of information that they're in need of before they can make those decisions about how much money, where to get the money from, where are the resources. And so with that being said, let's continue and listen to what transpires.
Talk to all of our county commissioners, that's including me, and I think we're all of the same. We're here today primarily to gather information, see what the needs are, see how immediate those needs are, and how we can then fund them. One, with existing school funds, you mentioned the paygo money, was $3.2 million, and you've already spent $1.2 million on that for the remediation of the mold and mildew. And then you have other resources, but we county commissioners will be unlikely to make decisions today until we have the information to make those decisions upon. I just want to make sure that we're not going to be able to say, oh, by the way, likely today, but we hope to do so in the very near future. Thank you.
Mr. Paisley.
Thank you, Madam Chair, Mr. Paisley. My Chief Operations Officer, Mr. Greg Hook, is here with us today, as well as our cabinet members. He's going to give us a brief overview of what we're dealing with and lead us into the solution for this conversation. Mr. Hook.
So currently, we've identified mold at 5 different sites. First site that we identified mold in was Andrews Elementary School. It was pervasive through all parts of the buildings. Since we've identified it, we have mediated it, and we have staff back in that school. That was part of the expenditure of the $1.2 million. Part of that was to fix chiller. We had some issues over there. We feel like we have good control of humidity and temperature in the main part of the building. At Andrews, first and second floor, what I'd call the roundhouse part of the building. We're not able to control the humidity well in the cafeteria. And one of the wings at Andrews, so the company that did the remediation, is leaving some of their dehumidifiers in place to help us to get through this humid weather so we can better control humidity. The second school that we identified, one elementary school, the same footprint and has the same similar types of HVAC systems as Andrews, and it was pervasive there as well. The mold through the main building, first and second floor, the gym and the cafeteria. So in that case, we have the remediation company on site, and they're still on site today, and they hope to finish post-testing the environment on the 30th. All works out. The other sites, we have not done air quality testing, the pre-testing to determine the extent of what we need to do to remediate there. The Cummings High School, and the cleaning contract crew got into some of the rooms in the lower level. They spotted mold, and they called us in. We started to look around, and we brought in air quality testing company, and they confirmed the presence of surfaces. So because of the pervasiveness there, your recommendation not to have school at that site. The next one with Broadview, we had actually moved the staff mornings into the cafeteria at Broadview to conduct their opening meeting, and the cafeteria manager had mold in the cafeteria, which drew us over to start looking around. We found mold in several of the rooms and in the cafeteria on the lower level at Broadview. And because of it being in the cafeteria and we saw it on surfaces, we decided it wasn't a good idea to have staff in there. Broadview and Cummings were waiting on the results of the testing to determine the amount of mold spores in the air and some sort of determination about mold spore count on surfaces. So we're waiting that. There we would determine a cleaning protocol driven by the third-party hygienist that does the testing, and then they would use that, and we'd use that to engage with a remediation company. Inside is Williams High School. We did air testing there yesterday. Staff member reported mold on the classroom wall. We wanted to investigate that, and as we walked around several rooms, this was on the lower level at Williams. We found it in multiple rooms there in strong odor. We tested that school yesterday. The company who was doing the testing there, we're engaging with 2 different hygienist companies for the testing. They're able to do some counting there. There was very high numbers of mold spores in the air at the lower level at Williams.
Mr. Brooke, can you speak to the other number of schools that have been reported some concerns that we're checking?
Well, it's around 15 to 20 schools. It really depends on how you look at it, Dr. Butler. These initial schools that we're looking at mold that's growing on surfaces of walls, desks, baseboards, cabinets, and that sort of thing. As staff around the district got concerned, they would spot mold on a ceiling tile that may be from a leaky HVAC valve or from a leaky water pipe or from a roof leak. And so those got pushed in along with mold on surfaces. So it's difficult to determine until we get around to look at all of them, the extent of what is really mold growing on surfaces or what might be determined to be spot mold in a repair we could make. We are at this time going around and testing all the schools, doing walkthroughs of all the schools, testing the air quality and looking for mold on surfaces at the same time. That's in process, and we don't have any of the results for the other school. Using the two companies, we think we can get all the testing done at all of our sites, hopefully by Monday, Labor Day.
Thank you.
So that is our situation. Are there questions as we move through objective year? Questions from,
Do you know what the types of, the different types of mold? Same kind of mold?
What we're seeing is Aspergillus penicillium, which is a common type of mold. It's not toxigenic, it's allergenic. Doesn't affect everyone, but it can affect some.
What I'm hoping to hear is two things: scope and severity. Scope and severity of the mold problems at each of the schools that we're talking about here. I mean, in order to be able to quantify that, in order to inform a remediation proposal that informs everything else. So is there any more that we can, the reports, are there levels that
With the severity, I know that Cummings, Williams, those are our three priorities right now compared to the scope of the work, which is going to be pretty massive. You want to speak to those three?
Yes, the testing, will describe the protocol that we need to remediate. Based on what we saw yesterday at Williams and the initial thoughts of the company testing, it's quite extensive in the lowest level at Williams. As you go up to the main floor, their initial reaction is we should be cleaning everything 5 feet high and lower. And they're saying when you get to the third floor, and just be everything 3 feet and lower. At Broadview, we don't know yet. We just know it's in the lower level, we're waiting testing results. And then at Cummings, it's pretty much out throughout all three levels, particularly on the third floor or the upper floor on the outside wall where it looks like a lot of water had gotten in past. There'll be extensive work, maybe some chemistry that needs to come out in the process there. Until we have the testing results, we don't know what's in the air. That's all based on just the walking through with them while they're doing the air tests.
Craig Turner is focusing on the scope and the severity of the situation of mold. He wants to know the scope, what schools have it, and then the severity. How bad did this schools have it? And that's what Greg Hooks just explained. So with that being said, let's get back to the video.
Situation at Cummings, the same locations we had with the mold situation about, 5 years ago? Back in, 18?
My personal opinion, I think some of it is related to water that got in the past when we had severe roof leaks. There was a lot of water in that building. I think others it's based on just humidity in the building. For mold to grow, you have to have root source, you have to have water, humidity, and then you have to have heat over the right amount of heat, not that it's overly hot. But water got in that building years ago, and a lot of water got in there. Same for Broadview. I think it's hard for us to determine where the water is coming from. If you walk through those schools, they feel pretty good. There's some humid areas in some places, but not all places that mold.
I know the situation we had the last time with Cummings was black mold, which was much more of a risk. We don't have any of that this time.
It would bear out in the testing. This far, what we saw, what we're looking at was the Aspergillus.
All the schools at least tested by Monday. Is that what I understand?
Hoping a week from today to maintain our course, they'll have all testing complete. We have to get the test results. So that would lag a little. So these companies are pushing for us and reorganizing their schedules. The company that we walked with and at the sites yesterday already had 35 jobs lined up this week. They went back and tried to reorganize their work to help us. It's pretty much the same for the other company. They all had work lined up, so they're trying to help us.
Is the testing being done outside or with equipment doing remediation?
The remediating company doesn't do the testing, so we have two third-party testers. One is called LRC and one is ESG. And they would do the retesting to determine what the protocols are. On the back end, Chairman Paisley, after a remediator has been through, then and they say they're finished, then the third-party testers would test air quality again to determine if it passes or not, and they won't release it until that has passed.
Well, simultaneously assessing what kind of remote, such as if it's a roof leak, you don't fix the roof, you're gonna have it soon thereafter. Is it an HVAC system? What is it? So how soon will we, the county, with that information?
We're assessing it as we go through. For example, at Williams, it's very humid on the lower level. Spend any amount of time there, you feel it as you stay in the rooms. We can see where water is coming through the classroom walls, where steps are built on the outside because it's subterranean, not water flow, but the water is traveling through the cracks in the concrete steps and causing effervescent push in the brickwork and the concrete work. So that would signal us that water is at least evaporating out through those areas. I couldn't say that that's all of it, Williams, but I think it's contributory to the problem there, as well as you have all this airflow throughout, but the humid air is going to fall to the lower level. I think that's contributory. So you'll have to determine what was the cause at each site. As of now, we do not have the cause, but I think we can say different things are contributory to what we're seeing now.
Were you in the basement?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Data on.
It's difficult to understand what John is saying, but I think John was trying to get an answer from Mr. Hooks as to what he thought the main reasons for these issues were. Was it HVAC system? What was it? And so it was difficult to understand him, but I believe according to Mr. Hooks' explanation, he was telling him it varies. It's not all just one contributing factor.
Data on what level of Aspergillus penicillin is considered problematic?
Yes and no. So the federal government does not have a standard on that, and the state of North Carolina does not. So the ANSI standard would be if the level of spore counts are higher indoors than they are outdoors. You should have the same thing inside as you do out. So if there's a differential between what you have inside and outside, you can say you have elevated levels inside.
What levels exist for that particular fungi in those three schools?
Well, we're waiting on the testing for Cummings and Broadview, so we don't have that. The company that did the testing at Williams yesterday, they have a staff member who brings out a microscope, and they're actually counting samples on the spot, trying to do some predetermination. And they determined that in one room at Williams High School, they had over 700,000 spores per cubic meter in air in one of the classrooms, which is extremely high. The other company that we're using it, Andrews and Newland, do the count. Their counting meter, we call it that, stop counting at 12,000.
So that level of severity at Williams was the lower level.
Yes, the basement.
And the second floor there was also spores in the second floor and third floor. You mentioned there was 5 foot or 3 feet recommended for cleaning. Is that because they're at different levels?
Yes. So I'll call it the second and third floor at Williams, the main floor and the upper floor at Williams. I don't know the outcome of the air testing. I was just there when they were doing the determination on the basement level. But their general feeling when they were doing the testing was that the basement was the problem. It was more just on the surfaces on the main floor and the upper floor. I don't have the results. I'm asking today, and they're going to try to get those to us tonight. So know exactly what they are.
Any other questions about the actual situation?
Yes, I have one. Yes, thank you. I just want to confirm, how many schools have a report of mold? How many do you confirm?
I don't have the exact number with me. I'm saying 15 to 20, and it really goes to the folks are sending pictures of a ceiling tile of Mr. Lashley that I wouldn't generalize to be surface mold. I would say that might be something we could spot.
So the correct statement at this point is 2 or 5? 5. Well, the only request I have is can the county commissioners get any and all reports about these schools and document any and all documentation that goes with this? The county commissioners, as one, I would like to have those.
If you provide it to our county manager.
Thank you, Mr. Lashley.
No, I'm good. I'll wait to the next. Thanks.
I think you folks have a young meeting at 6:30 tonight. Mr. Dr. Lipton, and at least through Zoom or in person, one or the other. And I think he's probably the expert in seasonal phenomena. I've talked to him several times, and as recently as 1 o'clock today, and he informed me that he's debating with early traffic, whether it would be by Zoom or it would be in person. But he's assured me that he will be there. I'll send you a message right away for everyone in the audience, and otherwise, will be telecast. And other folks, how they can get access that.
It's through our ABSS website. So if you click on the Board of Education link, there's a link here for our new meeting agendas and live stream capability. So, and that's, as you've always been able to access all of our meetings. It starts at 6:30. It is upstairs in the auditorium, and there is a public comment section, session in that agenda. So feel free to come and if you're at the podium. So that, go ahead, Mr. Mosley. Any other questions on the actual situation? Make sure we're laser focused on these objectives.
So, Greg, let me ask you this, the difference between mold remediation and you and I going over there with some Windex or, some Clorox wipes or something like that, very, very different, correct?
Yes,
I
it
mean,
is.
the companies that are coming in here and remediating mold isn't that's a serious deal and probably has been something that hasn't been done in the past when we talk about the mold and taking care of that in school in the past.
So what's required when the air goes in, they're running what they call air washers. And, they will say they're turning over the air 20 times, 30 times, and that just means like they're putting all the air in that space through that air washer, which has to help the filters and purifying it before it goes back out. So when they're doing that, they're pulling in whatever else is in the air. So if you were going to do true remediation, the way that the ANSI standards is going to do it, you would be running air washers. In that space.
And all the cleaning that.
While you're cleaning, yes, and you would want to vacuum. You wouldn't just be wiping, you'd also be vacuuming surfaces prior to wiping and after wiping to ensure that you're vacuuming with a HEPA vac, so going in as you're vacuuming as well, because as you're, and I'll run quickly, I knew none of this before we got in this situation, but as you're wiping, you're moving spores as well, and you're making spores airborne. So if you're not using the air washers and the HEPA vacs, then you're disturbing them and they're going to resettle. What I've learned in this situation is spores can be dormant for years and years. That could be the situation we're in. I don't think we're able to think back to how long these things have been there. I know in some of these situations we have cleaned up, say we before paying mold in some of these same sites, but never done it like this.
Not like this. So we've never, as far as you know, and going back and researching everything, we've never had mold remediation at any of the schools.
Thank you, Mr. Marsh. Any more questions or comments about the situation? Okay, hearing none, I think we're going to move to objective 2, which is what is a solution, and if we could touch on some of that. And where we don't have all of the information that we need for all of the sites yet. So what is the solution at this particular time?
Well, I've got a couple of comments on that.
Sure.
Having worked here for a long time. Seems to me that we have mandated things in this district. And that's not okay under my leadership. I want to do it right. That's why we're taking our due diligence time, go through every campus to see where we stand. Is it healthy for our kids? And that's going to take some time. We have exhausted our funding in Vega, except for $250,000, I believe, to fix Andrews and Newland. If we're going to move forward with anything at Cummings and Broadview and Williams, we need the county commissioner's support. If you guys are willing to do that, we'll move forward. And if not, we're going to have to just send kids back. It's status quo as it is with mold in the building. That's the only thing I see. Those are the two choices. Fix the problem and wait for that to happen and send the kids back when they're going. Or today.
Okay, so Dane has just put forth, his recommendation. He said they've exhausted all of their funds, and so now they're totally and completely dependent upon the county commissioners giving them the rest of the money to clean up the mold in all of the other remaining schools, and so that's where they're at now. Let's see what happens now.
In this and just send them back to the environment that's there. Those are the only two choices, guys. I will not tolerate band-aiding and not fixing the problem and making it look like we fixed the problem. That's not okay. For our families and students.
So what is that solution?
Well, we have 3 schools beyond Newland and Andrews that we know of right now. Could there be more tomorrow when you get into more testing? Sure. But right now we know of Broadview, Cummings, and Williams. And I can tell you that Andrews was a price tag of $700,000 for full mold remediation. Newland was around $500,000. If we have to do full remediation in 3 schools that are bigger than those, my guess is common sense. The number's going to be higher than that. We don't have that money. We don't have it.
That's before you actually get to the root problem that caused the mold, correct?
Correct.
That's just cleaning it up.
Correct. So if we leave the meeting today with no solution on that, which I respect that, of course, my team's got to go back and decide what's next. Do we abort the inspections across the campus because it's really futile if we don't have the funding to do anything about it and just bring everyone back as soon as possible? Or do we keep kids at home until we figure out where the mold is in all 37 campuses? What are we going to do about it after we find out? That's why we're here. That's why we're here.
I think we as county commissioners are able to determine located monies. When we have $3.3 million of bigger monies, and we spend apparently 1.2. So you still have bigger money sitting there. Additionally, you have lottery, you have all kinds of funds, but we don't know the extent of the remediation that needs to be done, or what corrective measures need to be taken, HVAC, roofing, whatever. But we need information as soon as possible. And we're looking at the earliest next Monday.
You
We'll see how we can move forward. We're dedicating monies until we know what the problem, the extent of the problem, and the dollar sign that goes with it.
Now, with that being said, Dane has just told them what they need. John is saying they have other funds out there. They have other monies that could be used. I'm not sure what those monies are. Maybe that's monies the county commissioners have to release. But John says the county commissioners can't do that until they have more information. And I think you could go back to the words of Craig Turner that they're looking at the scope and the severity and the cost. They want numbers before they start throwing money at the situation. But Dane is right. If they don't get it right, if it doesn't get corrected, he's going to have to make some decisions. But John is also correct. And, do we just want to throw money after this? We could resolve this today by just giving a blank check. Is that responsible? Well, you'll have to be the one to make that decision. But let's listen and continue to see how the conversation and discussion plays out.
It's a desire for the county commissioner to help it.
Once we can go through your accounts to see if the funding that you say you don't have, you don't.
Gotcha.
And there's 5 accounts that we should take a look at today if you really want to come up with a solution. I believe those accounts have been, the question actually came from Senator Galey. I believe that your staff answered them. So let's walk through that process before we decide what exactly you're talking.
Okay. We're ready to move.
I think it might be helpful to focus on a specific. Williams High School. There were results back for Williams High School.
We expect them tonight.
There was a report of aspergillus above a certain level. How's that different? I'm confused about those 2 different.
We have two different companies doing testing, and one of them that came out to Williams, they actually have a biologist that comes out and they bring their microscope. And as they're taking the sample, they start to check it. So they haven't written their report with their protocols on how to remediate. On the spot, they're already counting the slides, and they identified in the basement level very high counts in the air from what they found on the spot.
Have you provided that information to the remediation company?
Yes, we've been speaking to one.
Is there an idea about from that company about what it would take to remediate if you assume the results from the environmental hygienists are correct?
Yes, they say that they can do a school in a couple of days. They have up to 700 people ready to go. The person's in the room if y'all would like to.
Have they generated a scope of work?
I haven't seen the scope of work yet. We're still in the discussion.
That would determine costs, wouldn't it?
Yes.
How soon do they have a scope of work?
Well, I think as soon as they have the remediation plan, they have to use that as the springboard to develop what's their scope of work. This company works with cost and materials, and they would define what's the cost of time and materials, time and materials at the beginning, and they would use the scope of work to let us know how long it would take. So at this point, I don't have the final word on what the price would be. The company can give me kind of a timeline of what they think.
Do we have a timeline of when they may have scope of work?
I expect the tonight, the company sends it to me, and then I would send it on to the remediator. I would think mid-morning they would be able to give us their scope of work to create a contract.
Scope of work comes from the environmental hygienist or the remediator?
Both. So the remediator would say all that needs to be done, and the remediator would say how they're going to get it done.
They come up with a scope of work and the budget for the scope of work.
Well, this particular remediator works on time and materials, not a budget like when we worked with the Sasser on the prior 2 projects. They went in and they priced it out and told us what it would cost. This vendor works a different way with time and materials. So I don't know that we have the cost from the outset.
The range, able to provide a range for what the estimate might be?
Can't say I could work.
Mr. Hook, did you say we had a professionals in the room?
Yes, Mr. Bass from Builder Services is here.
Okay, I think that would be beneficial to the conversation to hear from Mr. Bass.
So good evening. I'm Ben Bass with Building Services. So we've actually done this same motion picture in many of the counties in North Carolina, Lake County, Fulton County, Franklin County, Graham County. We just finished Dare County. We have a large operation. We cover about 17 states. We're based 20 minutes from here in Creedmoor. To Mr. Hook's point, everything we do is on time and material. We actually provide a ROM, which is called a replica of magnitude. So the industrial hygienist will say, okay, here's your counts, your spill counts. Here's our protocol. This is what you need to do. You got to change it this many times every hour in the entire building. You've got what's called a HEPA sandwich. You've got a HEPA-vac. These are backpack HEPA-vacs. You HEPA-vac, wipe it down with an antimicrobial HEPA-vac, clean and you start, 5 foot, 6 foot, whatever the protocol is, come down, and then you work your way out. You have to mop the floors, all of that, but this is top of the desk, under the chair, side of the desk, inside the cabinets, everything. And once it comes out, the air scrub, you change all the entire filters, the food filter, secondary filter, you change it, they'll scrub it usually 7 times a day, 24 hours in advance. They come back in and do what's called a PRV, post remediation verification. They come in, they take air samples. They say, okay, it's clear. Somebody asked earlier, how can you tell what's allowed? Here's a great example. If you go outside right now and you take a volume of air, it has 100 spore counts of penicillin aspergillus. You come inside this building and it has 250. That's not an equal, plant structure. That means that this has elevated counts. And so it is actually allergy based. It works just like some people can look at poison and get it. Some people can rub it on them and don't get it. That mold, penicillin aspergillus works the same way. Some people don't affect. Kids, elderly, immune depressed, it does affect. People that has any, it will affect. Okay? Cladosporium is another one that you'll find. Cladosporium is the first one. It's everywhere. Okay? But you see it a lot on top of duct dirt around like good here. Okay? So that's actually somebody may look at that and say, that's bad. None of this has been surface tested and looked up under a microscope by a microbiologist. Okay? But that needs to be hepatic. Okay? And once it's hepatic, it can be stained. Right? So we don't know unless it's tested. But the answer to the question is, we can see the protocol. We've done millions upon millions upon millions of square footage of schools here in North Carolina. Okay? And we passed about 99.5% PRB the first time. For example, Henry County Schools, Oslo County Schools, we've done all of them. We've done 52 schools in less than 30 days after Hurricane Florence. Almost 7 million square foot in less than 30 days. Almost 680 air samples, all passed on the first time. And so when we come to town, we bring up Army. Matter of fact, I heard the number 750. I have almost 2,000 personnel standing by in my place in Louisiana, my place in Georgia, another one in Texas. Okay? But I just want to be transparent with everybody. There's two differences between training, remediation, and clearance. Two different things. As a remediator, we are trained, certified, accredited in that process. We do that process. As a board, as a county government, or the entity, okay, our previous clients, which are 10, 12 counties here in the state, okay, they take the clearance results from a third party. The third party has nothing to do with me, the school board, how to do these industrial hygienists. Do I know them? Yes, because I've done so many schools here there in North Carolina. Then we take them results and provide it back. And the other school districts we've worked in has posted that and say, okay, here's all the results. It shows that they're clear. If you get certified clearance reports, okay, what that means is they go to a certified lab, which North Carolina has a bunch. Okay. If you clean every school, I can clean every school campus y'all have in less than 7 days. And talked about.
Say that again.
I can remove every school in Alamance County in 7 days or less. And here's the problem.
Now, he just said he could remediate every school in Alamance County in 7 days. So he's got the ability to do the volume of school. I think that's what he said. That's what's needed. But now he says here's the problem. So let's see what he says here.
Now, remediating is one thing. You move up and receive a certified clearance from a industrial hygienist in that amount of time. The reason why the labs don't work like we do. So my teams are working 13 to 16 hours a day, 7 days a week. A lab, they're going to take off Saturday, Sunday, and Monday because it's Labor Day. So if we finish schools on Friday or Saturday, they come in and test. They don't get them to the lab until Tuesday. They may not get the report back to the family until Thursday. So, I will tell you, and this is just so everybody realizes, when the hurricane, it affects the outcome, what comes out here. And the reason why the latest four of people in my industry, okay, and these are my guys that travel with me. I mean, I've done a lot of federal government stuff. We do a lot of medical. You don't see hospitals at Comm. I mean, we do all it. It goes very quickly because we have clients in other places. So if you decided Thursday, just for example, you said, okay, let's go. Well, how it would work with us, if you said today, start, there will not be a rag light going to build it until late Tuesday night or early Wednesday morning. Here's the reason why. We show up with semi-trucks. And so I have a fleet of almost 80 semi-trucks. We show up with semi-trucks and not pickups. We have to unload equipment, set up all these buildings with equipment, mobilize our staff in, which takes 12 hours, and then we're ready to go to work, and then they're here working nonstop. So we usually work 13 to 15 hours a day, 7 days a week. And we're talking, I mean, when I done Alamance County, with 1,700 people working 16 hours a day. Jefferson Parish Schools, largest school district in the state of Louisiana, we've done 27 schools in 25 days after the hurricane 2 years ago. And that had to meet until we won deadline because of the federal government snapshot of how that worked. That was their deadline. We've done 27 schools in 25 days. We were working on with 2,000 people.
I have a quick question. Yes, sir. Mr. Jones. I just want to understand how your industry works.
Yes, sir.
I'm going to take a hypothetical situation. The numbers are made up. So if we assume that 100, what's the units? 100 units of aspirin cylinder in the air.
Yeah, and there's 300, if it's elevated in college.
Let's call it 100 in the ambient air. Let's take school A. In the lower level of school A, there's 10,000. In the second level, there are 200. And in the third level is 105.
It won't work like that, but I understand you're happening.
But I'm trying to figure out what would be your plan to remediate a different level of mold and a different severity of mold, and what does each floor require, in your opinion, in terms of getting it safe for students?
That's right. So we put the sprays on like that school that had the mold that's more pervasive. So you may start and say, okay, the protocols, every wall is 6 foot or 7 foot. Everything's ripped back all the way down, baseboards. Every desk is clean, the top, the bottom of chairs, the top of chairs, every cubby, every top of book, everything in there has to be clean. Okay?
You have to be clean in the third floor with 105.
Well, yes, but not at the 6 foot. It may only be 3 foot. So you may only go from here down. But you still have to light the fire because it still has mold on.
It's 5 units elevated mold.
It's elevated.
Even in the elevation above ambient.
Yeah, it's.
These remediation. I'm not just figure it out.
So here's the thing is that it's under tables and you can see it. All you gotta do is turn the table over. So let me ask you this. How would it work if I went in a school in your scenario and I done the first floor, and I done the second floor, and I didn't do the third floor? Okay? How would it work? I'm gonna tell you how it's gonna work, right? They call it back because there's more than the third floor. And they just pay for a company to come out and only clean 2. Somebody wouldn't clean a house and only clean a 3-story house and say, okay, I'm only gonna clean 2 levels. The mold is still there. So what happens is when the mold blossoms, okay, that's when it starts to, that's when you can smell it. Okay, that's when it blossoms. So any air movement, it doesn't have to be, when you walk and you disturb air, your mold spores spread. So they look for a couple things. They look for another food source. They look for higher moisture. That mold on that third floor, it'll be right back down on that second floor. Any mold spore is not remediated in that building will end up right back on the first floor. You got the same problem. So I think if you're asking about this, it will cost you more to demobilize all of that building. Come back 2 weeks later, it'll cost you 5 times as much as it would to wipe down that third floor. We've already done. Yeah, but here's the thing is you can't, unless you wall off the the stairwells and all that, if you never gonna use the third floor, you can do it. But what's happening is I don't think you're gonna find a school that has, if it's that pervasive, 700,000 square count outside of yesterday was probably in the hundreds. Okay, I mean, that's very dangerous. That's square count different. Okay, so if you find it there, there's no chance that you won't have it on the third floor. There's no chance. That's not possible because the airflow it goes through. Yeah, because of the stairwells, open cavities, the way schools are built, HVAC closets. That type of thing.
So if you remediate classroom A, you still have to remediate classroom B. You have a class in classroom A.
Not at the same time because they use common space. Unless classroom A has an outside ingress and egress, you have to wall off that door so they can't go out. That comes into a fire marshal issue. You know, the biggest thing, like I said, the cleaning part, the remediation part, in my world is not the issue. The concern is when it comes to, is it clean? And the way you tell if it's clean is with a few of the remediation verification. That's when a third party comes in, takes samples of air, takes to the lab and go, okay, there's 100 floor counts outside, there's only 60 inside, it's clean. And, you know, and that's my experience with all the schools. That's what parents want, what staff want. You know, in Louisiana, they posted the same thing. So did the superintendent in Onslow County, superintendent in Granville County, superintendent in Henry County, superintendent in Greene County. They posted it so everybody could see it. That it was clean.
Mr. Bass, I have a quick question. So you and I will come in and you do the remediation.
Yes.
Are we required to wait for the PRB? How can we get our kids back in school as quickly as possible, safely?
With the
PRB,
I'm sorry?
are we required to wait for
Yes,
the?
you're required to have certified results. You're not required to have it. The difference is a microbiologist can lead slides. Okay. So Dr. Vi, who was one of the leading professors at NC State for 38, 36 years, he owned a large lab in Cary. All of his chemists and microbiologists were all certified. Okay. So when a lab gets a certification, okay, like that's like going to a big emergency room versus going to, you know, somebody else's little health clinic. They're certified in what they do. So they do certified results. It's like a certified financial audit versus just a CPA doing numbers. Okay. So that's the difference. But no, you don't have to have it. But if you do get it, then they are the gospel. But to answer your question, is if you started today and you got certified results, you wouldn't receive them before September the 5th. No industrial hygienist can clear that many schools. Not only do you have to take them, every school takes 2 to 4 hours for them to take that amount of samples. Then they have to take them to the lab. There's a certified lab in Greensboro. There's one in Cary. They have to take them to the lab. They don't work on Saturdays or Sundays or Mondays or Labor Day. So then they read them. So let's just say best case scenario, they read them on Tuesday. Most of them take an hour to 3 hours per report. But then if you got 30 schools, 3 hours, that's 90 hours worth of writing reports. So you may not receive them certified results until Thursday or Friday. I'm sorry?
You could clean the schools by Tuesday, just not verify it officially.
That's correct. Yeah, I mean, and it was depending on their staff. Yeah, I mean, we can clean them. Like I said, we bring in it's an undertaking. I mean, like I said, we just finished Dare County and that was a feat in itself. You go to Kill Hills and that's just there's 300,000 people there because of, it's their prime season. Luckily, we travel so much. We have our own living quarters that we get to do, our own shower trails. We built a city in that parking lot to house all our people. And so we've actually done 2 middle schools. I'm sorry, an elementary school and a middle school. We came in for this 210,000 square foot top to bottom and clear first time. So, yes, sir.
All right. Make sure I understand this. If you go to Williamson School, we know there's contamination at some level of the basement. You're gonna seal that basement off to be contaminated, is that correct?
My answer to that is, I don't think you're gonna find it just in the basement. I think you're gonna find it in the whole building.
Hypothetically. If it's in the basement, we know that. To clean that, you're gonna seal that area off.
That's correct. That's correct. Since in the basement and nowhere else in the building, we'd have to seal off the stairwells. We'd have to seal off everything. There's no ingress or egress from any population that comes down. And that, if there's not an issue with the fire marshal, but yeah, we would seal that off.
You've got the HIPAA filters and everything else, and we contaminate that area.
That's right.
Is there a reason that the rest of the school could not be used while you're cleaning the basement?
In the state of North Carolina, to do that, you'd have to have an on-site air quality monitoring the entire time. So you'd have to have an industrial hygienist with a pump system to monitor air the entire time. No different if we were tearing out a gym floor that has mercury, you have to have somebody there, industrial hygienist to monitor. But so there would have to be one on staff, on site the entire time work was done while you had other people in the building.
Right. We never swing mercury, asbestos, whatever, mold. I understand that. But that's not what we're doing for the folks out of Raleigh. They're saying if you seal it off,
That's right.
you should be able to occupy other parts of the building.
That's correct. But you still just have that levels monitored while you're working. But if I was working in this building, I could still have this meeting. If I still.
John is talking something about if they could seal the bottom off, like I guess Williams has a basement. If they seal that off, then you could utilize other portions of the building. And I think that's what he's saying. But then you'd still have to have a monitoring system to do that. So I'm not sure exactly what John is trying to say. Except maybe you could use part of the building while part of it's being remediated. Let's continue the conversation.
Meeting, if I seal there's in a commercial and institutional facility in the state of North Carolina, you would have to be an air quality industrial hygienist to monitor the air to make sure none of that has aired through. And yes, I could be remediating that hall and then we'll go out there and have this meeting. Yes.
Thank you. Question for you.
Yes, sir.
In your opinion, if we don't hit the source of the moisture simultaneously or previous to doing the cleaning, how soon would the mold potentially come back?
It's hard to say quantitatively the time frame. I will address it this way. There's measures you can take to dramatically reduce it. I will tell you that here's a great example. There's a county here in the state that we were doing this same, it was like an endless cycle. Every year, July and August. Huge amount of money. And then they changed the risk manager and she came from Virginia Beach. She was used to humidity all the time, and we'd always told them, let's set the HVAC at a certain level, leave it on all the time. She's done it. We've done one job in the last 5 years there. The difference is, and to everybody's defense on the school side, it is very hard to temperature control a school building with nobody in it. The reason why is the way they're built in the J ratings on the system is built for 1,000 people a day. And it's not about just temperature, okay? Because everybody talked about humidity. Humidity is really irrelevant unless you know a temperature point. Okay? So 72 degrees at 60%, okay? That bucket is this big. Well, if it's 95 degrees at 58, okay? That's 70 and 60 has more grains. You go like grains per pound. Because what happens is a lot of people in schools, they run the temperature way down, 70 degrees. When all the surfaces get to 70, it gets to dew point. Guess what it creates? Moisture. So we create our own problem by running the temperature. So if you take another county and you just done, a part on that water system broke, and literally it went from nothing to mold in 3 days. Well, because they're chilling that, but had no dehumidification. So a lot of times we create our own problem just by running the temperature way down, everything gets to dew point. That's what happens in a lot of cases. So if you left it on, if it was 80 degrees the whole time, it takes a long time to get a dew point when you're at 80 degrees or 78 degrees. So nobody's in the building.
My question again, though, is what kind of time frame are we looking at if we do the planning? To get started on some of the projects that provide the source of the money. Like still well, maybe stores at Williams or something else.
Yeah, I think a lot of that's gonna come from, you hear about a lot of other people, structural engineering, forensic engineering, a lot of that's pertaining to that piece. If you're asking how long it would take the mold to come back, there's three things that it's gotta have to grow. Moisture, food source, temperature. Well, if it's occupied, you can control one of the three really easily. The problem is you can't control how much water comes from. If it's coming through, identify it and fix it. But it's really hard, and I hate to, it's hard to answer it. Hey, in 2 weeks or 3 minutes, it's hard to quantify that. Most of the time, it's not going to get any better. I hate to say it, but it's not going to get any better. It may only get worse.
Thank you.
So what I've learned based off your discussion, the first thing we need to do, this county needs to do, is go through, clean, as you mentioned earlier in your presentation, thoroughly through our buildings. Then comes that air quality assessment. And then that's when we actually get the report that state that it's a certified clearance report.
That's true, yes.
And that is similar to, I guess, maybe like a restaurant report card.
It's like a sanitation grade. Yes, sir. That's why they post them so people can see. And so that's the reason why in our experience, other school districts, school boards and superintendents have posted that results. But that way the staff sees it, parents sees it, everybody's transparent. And I think one of the first big ones to do it was Dr. McLean in Granville County. I think it was 7 years ago. She was up 7 years. She was the only school district in the state of North Carolina didn't open on time. She'd only been in the position 2 months. But we cleaned 2 entire schools, 15,000 man hours, and these schools were really bad. And in a couple of days, they got the clearance, and she only had to delay school for 1 week. But it wasn't 40 schools.
Yeah, that's an important piece because we can tell the public that we're cleaning new buildings all day long. But if we don't have actual proof or certified clearance results, that's the peace of mind that we need to get.
And then I think, Rick Stout, who was the superintendent of Oslo County, took it to a different level. All 39 of his campuses in Oslo, they posted the results for every campus. Dr. Hill, that was in Penner County, he posted results for every one of his schools we've done. They post the results so everybody can see it. That's the reason why they all went with a certified lab. Then there's no question about, hey, who actually done it? Is it really true? These are all certified labs.
Thank you.
Ben,
Yes, sir.
when we talked last week, you gave me a couple of examples of cost.
Yeah.
And you,
So we just, everything changes public record. So the 2 schools we've done in Gary County, we give them a ROM. So the way that the contract written is, we have 3 days to provide a written ROM. And the reason why is, time's up in essence, we get started. But on them 2 buildings, the ROM, I think, was $933,000. Okay. The final invoice, because everything we do is on time and material. We turn in everything, and it's audited by a third-party company. They're gonna be $780 for 2 entire schools. And they were 100,000 square foot apiece. And I provided on,
say the price again?
so both schools with mobilization and housing all people, building a man camp, everything. I think it's gonna come in somewhere, it's less than 800, 750 to 800, I don't remember. So like I said, when you look at it, high schools, and here's the thing I explained to Mr. Carter on Friday. So we do a lot with the NCACC when they had the big fire in Raleigh. We're the company who done all of that for the commission, the group. And so elementary schools take the longest. Middle schools take the next, and high schools are the easiest.
Right.
I'm sorry?
Wow.
High schools are all square footages, the rooms are this size, and you don't have families that are this big, this big, the chairs not this big, and it's twice as much contest to clean in the elementary school, 3 times as much in the elementary school as it is in a 250,000 square foot high school. High school classrooms are this size, you got dance, you got gyms, the cafeteria are twice as big, you know, when they clean 100,000 square foot elementary school, think about how many cubbies they have, how many plastic containers they have, how many little books they have. It's a lot different. Elementaries and then middle schools are next and then high schools. High school is just, you just got a sheer volume of square footage. You know? If you got them here, and I don't know the sizes, 200 to 300,000. It takes a little time to get through them, but they're not as hard as elementary school.
Any other questions for Mr. Bass?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
If you assume that the numbers for those high schools, industrial hygienists are accurate. Have you seen those numbers?
I'm sorry, what Mr. Cook said.
Investment? Yeah.
700,000.
We had a classroom with over 700,000.
If that's in the basement, would you expect there to be elevated number those two? If that's the case, you have an assumption on whether remediation will be required once the report comes back, and your full report comes back.
Yes.
Do you have any question in your mind about whether remediation is needed in the entire facility?
No.
I can look at it.
Some areas may require more attention, but the whole, so the third floor may not need as much attention as the basement, but I don't see it without remediating.
Mr. I just want to be sure that we don't have the environmental or the industrial hygienist numbers for Comm.
Expect them today. Can you qualitatively say what the person told you at Cummings? The tester at Cummings said it was the worst he'd ever seen. That's just physical.
Explain how this works. If ABSS says to me, hey, we're ready to proceed. If we wait till Wednesday or Thursday to do that, we're going to prolong this cleaning process, and here's the reason why. My team in Georgia, I'm going to have to send to the hospitals for this hurricane is coming. My team in Louisiana, I'm going to send to Florida. Okay? My team in Texas, I'm going to send to Florida. So that's just the only thing is, and the difference is, can we still clean it? Yes, but not in that amount of time. I was sitting there and I think somebody said 30 schools or 21 schools. If it's 30 schools, okay, I'm talking about bringing 3,000 people to Burlington, to Alamance County to clean these schools. Okay? 3,000 people. I got to house them. I got to feed them. And we're working 13 to 15 hours a day. If we wait until Thursday or Friday, I may only bring 500. Now look at the time frame. And I'm one of the largest in, to have that capability to do it that quickly and to achieve the same desired result.
Well, there you have it. That's part one of the Alamance County Commissioners and the ABSS School Board discussing the situation about the mold remediation in the school system. The Alamance County Commissioners say, hey, we probably are not going to be able to release any money today. We need more information. ABSS board said that, listen, we've got people waiting. If we can get the funding, we can get these schools cleaned up. We can get the students back in school and we can start on a normal schedule. But if you don't, then that's going to create problems for us. Listen to part two. This is going to be the solution-oriented discussion. It's pretty interesting to listen to that. So let me encourage you, in order to make the best decision you can make, you need to listen to the first part, so that you can make a more solution-oriented decision about how to address this issue. This is Alamance County Talks Politics. My name is Keith. If you found value in this video, hit the subscribe, hit the like button, and until next time, take care.